computer. Okay, great. Okay.
All right. So
I'll just I'll just introduce you and then we can start. Okay.
lovely.
So
Lovely.
so it's almost 4 o'clock here in London, and we're just going to be starting out. So welcome everybody to our webinar today about the apparel manufacturing, which is focused on the India market. We have Mr. Akash Deep Singh over here, who's here from Moscow, who's going to be talking about himself, his business, and how the challenges that he's faced working with India and how he's overcome that, you know. So before we start, I'm just going to ask everyone to like mute themselves, you know, so we don't, so we can hear the speakers speak, right? Like I mentioned, we are Fashionablyin. We're a virtual trade show platform. We organize a trade show in London twice a year, during Fashion Week in February and in September. Sadly, we haven't been able to do the shows. We're crossing fingers that we're going to be back in September with our live events, with our physical events. Till then, we are focused on virtual, where we basically connect people virtually. We do webinars, which are completely free and everyone can join in. And we have our membership that we sell, and that's how we make money as a company now. So basically, if you want to grow your business, we find you buyers, we find you sales agents, the same way of how you would go to actual trade show. We do the same thing virtually, you know, connecting you with potential clients and new business opportunities. So today's discussion, you know, with China, with this whole coronavirus and everything happening, I'm not saying people are shying away from China, but a lot of people have moved a lot of their production to India. You know, India is, I'm also Indian. So, you know, my name's Tarun, and India is a very beautiful country, but also to manufacture, it's great because you have a variety of fabrics, materials, people are willing, and it's not like China, they say minimum quantity or buzz off. Indian people work with you. And more importantly, they have fabrics and they do small quantities, you know. So India is a great country to work with, and and in my opinion, and I only see India growing as a manufacturing unit, you know, manufacturing thing. So without much introduction, without wasting more time, I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Akash Deep, who is our main speaker for today. Mr. Akash Deep is based in Moscow, and he is been working with India, and he's going to tell you about his experience and everything, that all the challenges and how he's overcome it over time. Hi, Mr. Akash, are you there?
Yeah. Hi. So I just wanted to correct you. I haven't overcome them all. I'm still overcoming them, the challenges around. But yeah, like you rightly said, it's been a fantastic journey. And obviously, because I was born and brought up in India, I happen to be from Delhi, like one of the other gentlemen here. I studied in Delhi. And very early in my career, I, came out of India. I worked in Africa for a while. And then, Europe, and finally, I started making a lot of, base in my business in Russia. So to tell you about me, I come from a family of engineers, and we have, a whole bunch of third generation, I would say third generation. One side of the family is third generation textile people. We own a process house. When I say process house, I mean a factory which processes all sorts of different fabrics, very huge volumes in near Mumbai. And besides that, I have my own menswear brand here in Russia. I import a lot of fabric and export a lot of fabric to other parts of the world. And I have a few stints. I've had a few stints with food and chemicals also. But right now we're talking about fashion. So I'll stick to fashion. Now, when we talk,
yeah. one more thing. Sorry to interrupt you. So, Akash, remember today's discussion is very interactive. So the idea is to connect with some of the audience, get their feedback, get their questions, and at the end of the day, remember it's about meeting people and connecting with people. A lot of from our previous webinars. People have thanked us because they've connected, they've done business, they've met people.
Right.
So like I mentioned, if anyone wants to say something, you can raise your hand or just speak out. Feel free to connect. And like I said, put your information in the chat box also, so everyone gets your information.
Yeah, absolutely, Tarun. So in fact, when Tarun and his team invited me to come and speak, I was, a little surprised because, I was not ready. I did not have a PowerPoint presentation with me, and, I had to practice and stuff. But then he said, no, you know what? It's just a regular discussion, so don't worry about it. We have people who will ask questions, and
Yeah.
so
We have a question from Sophia Davis.
Hi, I just wanted to check to see if anyone does couture garments. I heard a few people saying, they print, but I was just wondering, is there any, because I have a couple of clients that are looking to do, and I can send photos of the type of garments they're looking for. I just wanted to check.
Is that question to me, Sophia?
Yeah, I mean, that's a
come again. I didn't get that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Couture garments, couture dresses. Does anyone manufacture couture dresses?
So couture dresses for
the New York market. Would it be better for me to put it in the chat?
Yeah, sure. Put it in the chat. Yeah.
Put it in the chat as well. Now, Sophia, if you talk about India, India has been traditionally very strong with handwork and has been very strong with couture, but definitely you've got to choose and pick the right supplier, because there are a lot of small, medium-sized, big-sized companies, and you have to make a match with the price versus the quality versus the quantity that you require. So yes, India is definitely a place to do couture, because if I mean, I'm sure you would. We as Indians, we spend a lot of money on expensive clothing for our weddings, right? And that's our way of looking at couture. So there's a lot of handwork, there's a lot of silks, there's a lot of beading, there's lots of fancy stuff there. And definitely it might not work as that with US or with other Western European countries, but definitely there's enough handiwork, there's enough factories, there's lots of people who can do that and get it for you. So if you just put it with if you put some information, I'm sure some people will be able to help you. I can also try and help you with that. I hope I've answered the question.
Okay, great. So Akashdeep, I think it's better you just carry on. Once again, if anyone wants to ask any questions, please go ahead. This is an interactive discussion. We all want to learn and connect with each other. Okay, please, sir, go ahead.
Okay, so if you would ask me a straightforward question, how India is different from China, or how India is different from Turkey, like I started, I mean, I was explaining our other people around here, is that we have definitely a lot more to do to get to the place where China is. Having said that, India has some strengths of its own and some weaknesses. If you talk about strengths from India, India is a place where you can source smaller quantities. You will find people who will give you good service. I mean, they will be very forthcoming and proactive. On the downside, I think India has a few problems with automation. India has a few problems with good new fabrics which are high tech. India has few problems with the automation in terms of tracking, and in terms of order tracking, in terms of things which probably China, a lot of big manufacturers China have overcome. If you talk about bigger manufacturers in India who are very well equipped, definitely they ask you for a better price. And you will probably, as a small importer or a small brand, not be able to afford those high prices, because they are dealing with their set of overheads, which are definitely a lot. What else can I tell you about India? It'll be nicer if we can have more of question answer sessions, so that, I'm able to focus, because, India as a subject is extremely vast. I can talk about history of India, and I can talk
So
about
when
recent
did you,
stuff.
so why don't we start by understanding about your journey, how you landed up in Russia,
Right.
and how difficult was it setting up in Russia, and then how did you do the business from Russia and
Okay.
India?
So, if you talk about my journey, I graduated from the University of Delhi. And while I was doing my graduation, I was offered a job in a company which was doing some business with Africa and Russia. And I was very passionate. I had a very nice background of textile, plus a background of engineering, and I wanted to see myself in exports and international trade. So I just took this decision. I went to South Africa and Zambia and Zimbabwe. I did a little bit of work there, and then I found Zambia and Zimbabwe a little too small for my aspirations and dreams. At that time, possibly not like now, Africa was not booming that much. And then eventually I got an opportunity to come and work in Russia, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and I came here. So we started off with the woolen sweater manufacturing, because Russia is a cold country, and we used to import woolen sweaters for men and women into Russia from India. And we started off with that, and then gradually moved to knitwear, woven wear, fabric imports, garment imports, and the story went on. So the last 25 years, I've been in Russia and Eastern Europe, and I work as an importer, as a brand, as a consultant, and we buy stuff from India for mass market, for high fashion, for menswear, kidswear, and kind of help people out with it. So that's my fashion textile story, essentially. Anything else you guys would want to know?
So what have you like from your experience, like from the Russian market, what is it that they need? Like what are they buying from India more of?
Okay.
Is it knits? Is it more sweaters, more wovens?
Right,
Is it denim?
right. So Russia is a very interesting market to work with, and possibly 90% of the people do not exactly know how Russia is. They have a certain perception, and that perception most of the times is not right. So if you talk about a city like Moscow, it's as fashionable as Paris, I mean, or London for that matter. And if you go on High Street, or New York, you go to the High Street here, you'll find people dressed up exactly the same way, very contemporary, very smart, very stylish, if you talk about Moscow. And if you move to smaller cities, they are definitely less fashionable, not as rich. So Russia in itself is a very interesting market to work with. And when I started working here, I started with, like I said, sweaters, but we moved on to different areas. Right now, Russia buys, right now, what's happening in the world is that a lot of woven business is moving to knits. A lot of woven business is moving to knits, but there is a huge set of people who are sticking to woven business as well. So we here are specializing in more of woven wear, and we do denims, we do men's shirts, we do men's chinos, we do a lot of fabrics, lots of all sorts of fabrics also.
So, so what is like like you said, what is the reason why it's moving towards more knits? Is it because with COVID people are staying more indoors, and the trend is changing to more knitwear and more like casual loungewear clothing? Is that the reason, or what's the reason?
I think there are a couple of reasons, and I'm sure we have brilliant designers and entrepreneurs here. They would kind of add on to it and probably agree to me as well. One reason of moving to knitwear is that knitwear is easier to handle, sell, and wear and maintain. Okay, when you want to stitch a woven fit shirt, the scale and the skill of a tailor that is required has to be much higher than if somebody is making a knit product, right? Knit products usually allow you to kind of, they are easier to handle in a way that if your fit is not perfect, you can get away with it, right? A woven product it requires more skill. That's one. The other part is that if you look at the world, there's Americanization of fashion. We see that, right? We are moving from classic suits and trousers to more and more of jeans and chinos, and then finally to knitwear because it's more comfortable. It tells you, it reflects how you think. It reflects that. It reflects that general thing that I don't care. That I don't care attitude is more reflected with knitwear than with woven wear. Although there are certain designers and there are certain brands which still stick to what they do, but then this is it's more mass appeal. And thirdly, I think there's this move to minimalism also, to quite an extent. You just take a knit fabric and you can create a lot of things with it. You cannot do the same with a woven fabric so easily, if I may say that. You take a double knit or a triple knit fleece fabric, or you take a simple knit fabric. You can make a t-shirt out of it, a shirt out of it. You can make a sweat out of it. You can make sweatpants out of it. You cannot possibly have so much in a simple woven fabric because it's very specific and customer centric, I would say that.
Okay, so now you're based in Russia. You're importing from India, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the because I see a lot of manufacturers over here. So just so people can understand, what exactly are you importing, and if they have to connect with you, what is the best way they do it? They do so. Do they send you an email? How do you like vet a supplier, or how do you start business with a new supplier?
So for me, it's been I've been extremely lucky, I would say. When we started business here, there were hardly any people who were doing this scale of business from India. And generally, when people think about India, they have those stereotypes in mind, and we were able to break those stereotypes, and we were able to kind of start working with India. And once we started working with India, a lot of manufacturers started approaching us on their own, So I have always a list of like 3-4 new companies every week who just want to work with us. And since we are also manufacturers in India, besides importers also, so it makes our network is even stronger, and it makes us easily approachable, because people know, okay, these guys have their own process house in India. They are also contract weaving, so that made things easier for us. But if you are a newcomer and you want to contact people in India, I think internet drastically helps. Most of Indian companies are very proactive, and if you just Google them and you start looking at the profile of the company, and you just approach them, I'm sure they'll just get back to you very fast.
Okay, I'm just going to ask some of our audience over here few more questions so we get a little more interaction. Alka, is that Alka over here? How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Sorry, we're doing 10 things at the same time. It's 8 o'clock here, so we are just. But I was looking forward to being a part of this whole thing. So yes, I'm a US based designer. So also import from India. So our brand's called Tolani. And we are, we are quite recognized here in US, and we do supply in Italy and Spain right now, Germany, Australia, but half our distributors have like closed shops. So we are trying to regroup and open up, because in US things have opened up and business is catching up.
So where are you based in America?
In California. It's a city called San Diego. So we design house here, and we create fashion. So we do a lot of our product conceptual design here, and we and then we get all the samples made overseas in India. So for us, getting everything together, our design team, we have a small design team here, but a bigger design team in India.
Lovely.
So just to understand, tell us more about what are you buying? What kind of thing are you buying? Ready goods?
No,
is it more knits? Is it more wovens?
We do wovens, but now the whole world looks so different as things are opening up. A good percentage of people are out, and the percentage of people that are in are looking for, to be very clear, everything is going towards comfort right now for this year and a good portion of next year, because as things open up in fall this year, 2020, 21, people are still home. Half of them are going to work, half of them are still working from home. So we're all looking very, knit driven product, but we do wovens. So for us, it's been a little struggle, but again, we are putting spandex in our wovens. So we are kind of recreating our wovens, which is difficult because not everything comes in spandex. China has that fabric, India doesn't. So we are in the process of recreating ourselves, which is fun, of course, but I'm just wondering how 2022 will look like. But we are designing for 2022. But of course, it's challenging because we're not traveling. We are working remotely out here with India. We're designing. I should travel to India 4 times a year now, none. So
absolutely. Yes, I think what you're saying is absolutely right. A lot of companies which are India based face that. But since I'm a fabric manufacturer, a fabric importer, a garment manufacturer, I think India is definitely improving when it comes to knitwear and knit fabrics. And I do not know which cities are you sourcing from, because India is a very city-centric country also. Because Mumbai is good in something, Jaipur is good in another, Ludhiana is good in another, Tirupur is good in another thing. So when you really are looking for a specific product, you should probably also look at a state and a city for that particular product.
Yes.
And
pardon me. Go ahead.
Please go ahead. Sorry.
No.
I mean, I just. So what I'm saying is that if you want to get more knit centric, the way forward would be probably going down south in India or in cities like Ludhiana, which are very specialized in knitwear and knit products. Whereas when we talk about menswear, it's more of manufacturing in Bangalore for clothing, and for fabric, it's more of Maharashtra, Gujarat belt, and So yeah, but what you said is absolutely correct. The world is going towards knits, and knits are taking a big chunk of formal. They've already taken a big chunk of formal wear. Now they've started to take a chunk of casual wear too. In terms of wovens.
For this year,
yes.
But remember, next year things will start different because fashion keeps changing, right? Next year, right now, knits is having its moment. Next year may look different. I almost think there'll be a deficit for wovens next year because people are coming out of their homes next year a lot more than this year, and they want color, they want fashion. So, so it kind of balances out also. But for this year, things are transitioning, of course, last year, and it's hard to just bang, wovens being so strong last year and the good part of this year, it's hard, the transition is hard, but this year will be a very strong woven year also. But where can you get a good woven factory in India that is carrying spandex? You want the spandex it's really difficult to find one being out here and not traveling. I mean, yeah, I know people keep calling, but you don't know who you're working with. You want someone who is, you want to make sure the factory you're dealing with is a good factory, and because it's very difficult.
I absolutely understand your question, because when I started off working beyond my own factory, I realized that most of the times a lot of factories, they have samples, and they do not really manufacture that product. They have gotten the samples. sometimes because of the problem with the yarn consistency, sometimes a problem with the processing, which is also outsourced. You will never actually know if the factory is so great with stretch fabrics unless you try and test them out, or they're a well-known name, right? So,
Yeah.
but then, there's a very simple way out. You go to a factory, you see their stuff, you ask for a yardage, you ask for technical details, because what happens is when you start getting to the deeper areas with India, you will be able to filter between the guy who's a trader, who's just buying the fabric, or who's just processing the fabric, to a person who actually has a technical team around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you kind of need to ask the right questions. You need to kind of you know be double careful, because definitely in terms of professionalism, we might want to do good in India, but we are not always able to do it.
Yeah, and then going for such a short time, and you have a lot to accomplish. It's difficult. So, do you manufacture everything in India and import it to Russia?
Yes, most of my stuff is manufactured in India, and it's imported into Russia and other CIS countries. When I say CIS, I mean the erstwhile USSR. And we've also worked with Eastern Europe countries like Poland, Czech Republic, Slovenia, because for me, for example, language is an extremely strong that I have.
Yeah.
I can speak Russian fluently, so that kind of gives me an additional
Value.
value, and that helps me around. So yeah.
So, under what brand are you selling?
So as far as the fabric, I'll put my company sites for you to have a look at also. We are doing menswear clothing, and we specialize in casual shirts. I'm wearing my own product. So we do that from India mostly. And fabric, we do it under the name of Vulcana, although we have our own manufacturing unit by the name of Angad Pal, which does fabric, woolen and poly wool processing in India. So I'll put the information for you to have a look at. But yes, I do consult a lot of companies from Russia who are interested to buy other stuff, and I can probably help you out if you need some sort of help and advice in that.
Yeah. So you're doing it in Delhi, or you're doing it in South, or you're knit, so you're doing it in South?
No, yeah. So depending on the kind of product that you want, if you need sweater knit, you have to go to places like Ludhiana.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Or if you want to do very good quality underwear fabric, you have to go to Ludhiana. Okay. If you want to do t-shirt fabric, or you want to do a little more mass product, I think you need to go to Tirupur, although there are different types of factories in Tirupur who do good products, who do medium-sized products, who do different kinds of products. So for knits, there are only two places in India. Either it's southern India, or it is Punjab. Either of the two.
Yeah. And there are fabric shows in Delhi, right? They do have the fabric show in July, I think.
Yeah. The problem with fabric shows in India, unfortunately, is that we have these exhibitions which are huge, like they're really, really huge, and you're not able to really connect to people so much. There's a rush of people around, and they're not. So that's why probably you need platforms like Fashionablyin, to kind of help you out with that. Because the huge exhibitions are very difficult to really get hold of the right people. You cannot even do it in 2-3 days sometimes.
Yeah. And all the shows happen at the same time in Priti Maidan. So it's really difficult to maneuver, I mean, how many people are you going to meet, Like you have to spend X amount of time in one booth to see, feel, touch the product, know the people who you're going to deal with. So it's really difficult. I've gone there several times, but it's kind of a little hard to maneuver the place. As informative as it is, there's a lot of information out there,
Absolutely.
Alka, I have a question for you. So when you do your buying, are you selling only to America, to boutique stores? Are you selling private label? Are you selling your own brand name? Just give us some more understanding of your business.
Are you a factory?
No. We're Fashionablyin, so we connect.
Okay.
So we.
No, so brand. Actually, some stores in Russia also carry it. I'm not remembering which ones, but now things have really shrunk. So it's a different world out here. So we are a brand. We do sell to mom and pop shops. We call them specialty boutiques. We do sell to departmental stores. We do sell to catalogs. We do sell on TV channels. We also sell like Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom's, Bloomingdale's. We have
This is all your own. This is your brand. This is your own brand name.
under Tolani. Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and then we have a couple of other brands like Mahila sells in Canada, but right now we have also kept that at a standstill till things open up. We have Tolani collection selling in some places, so we don't do. I mean, private label we don't like to do that much, just because we want to promote a brand. We're all about branding, and so Tolani is a brand in US, and we want to maintain that.
And just for an understanding, excuse me, with quantities and stuff, like when you buy stuff, so some of the other factory members, I mean the other viewers over here who are factories and all, just for their understanding, what are the quantities that you buy, so people would just for an understanding?
So
First time.
anywhere, like I can say, if you're doing specialty boutiques, it could be 50 to 100. If you're doing bigger companies, it could be 500 to 1,000. If you're doing TV channels, it could be 3,000 to 100,000. 100,000 to 10,000 happens 4 times a year. But depending upon where you're selling, who you're selling. So, it's from 50 pieces to 110,000 pieces or maybe more. But you do want to because many factories in India can't handle 110,000. They're happy with 500 to 1,000 pieces or maybe 3,000 pieces. So that's a good chunk of our business. But these orders really are, I mean, if you're doing, depending upon which channels you're selling on, these big orders come, and depending upon how the orders work. If let's say some which you have sold 3,000 pieces of have done very well, then we turn that around into 100,000, 50,000, 80,000, 100,000, which is not too often. Like I said, it's 3-4 times a year.
This is only in America. This doesn't happen. This is only in America.
Absolutely.
Only Europe doesn't do that much business with us. Europe is, I mean, we do a lot in US. We are a US based company. The brand is very recognized in Europe, in US. And it does very well for us, and we are unique. If you see the product, we are very unique. We create our own, so we are not buying from the market. We are creating our own.
Lovely. So, Alka, where are you buying those big quantities from, if I may ask?
Our factories, which are based all over North India, we work with we create samples in our factories, and when the orders come, we give it to our factories. So we are not really going to a random factory telling them, here's a sample, make the product, 100,000 pieces. That doesn't work. Because the factory has made the sample, we owe it to the factory that, hey, you made the sample, you worked hard on it. Now, let's get the price right. It is a big order. And these orders don't come too often, these 100,000 piece orders. They are very specific. What
right.
comes more, 500 to 1,000.
Right.
And those are or 500 to 1,500. They come often, not those are really hard, right? But yours, you're more comfortable doing 500 to 1,500, piece orders, and that too if you're selling to departmental stores and catalog companies.
Right. Lovely. It's so nice to see somebody who's doing so well in US. I mean,
no. Right now,
working with India, because whenever I hear of somebody, I hear that very often. People often ask me, you know what, you are the only one who's doing business with India so much. I mean, it's so difficult, it's so complicated. We go to China, it's so simple. You go and you just put your fingers and the stuff is ready. But then, the problem with China, which I would love to tell everybody else who is here, is that everybody has the same thing. You buy stuff from China. Most of the brands, they are just changing the labels, and there's less of creativity because they make it so simple for you in bigger volumes. So India definitely is a place to look at.
Yeah.
Look at for the future, right?
But where do you go in China where you put a button and the product is ready? I want to know that.
Okay, so
Sure.
we have a question. We have a question from Sophia Davis. Sorry to
Right.
Sophia.
Hi, I heard what he said about everything looking the same in China, and I agree. But the thing is, where can we go in India to get custom made pieces? Like if you can design it, because I have a lot of designers that design, but they want the product made, to perfection. So the thing is, so that it doesn't look the same or that it doesn't, they need it made to what they want. I mean, is that possible? I mean, do you have that type of manufacturing, or do you have like, okay, this is what we have, you have to buy it?
No. In fact, India would be, Sophia, happy to do what you want them to do. The other question that you have is whether they are competent enough to do it with perfection. Not always, but you would always find 15-20% of the factories who are really very good. So what you probably need to do is you need to keep trying, because for example, for me, when I design a fabric, because I design fabric too, I engineer fabrics. When I design and engineer a fabric, I generally try and send it to 3 or 4 people, and then I see how they work it out. And then I get that particular fabric, and then I buy from the person who does it for the first time. And once it is done, and the second person later on comes, I will always have an alternative, because it's when you talk about stuff that you're talking about, couture, it is very difficult to have a consistency, because it's mostly hand, it's mostly very focused work. And with what's happening around the world, it's very, very difficult to have that kind of a consistency in the kind of product you're talking about. But you need it to be very, very good, right? Because you're talking about expensive stuff, you're talking about good fabrics, you're talking about very good stitching quality, right?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yes. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about, kind of like high-end garments, gowns with trains and stuff like that, because a lot of the designers want to produce a couture line. So this is the question as to, where we can go. Now, there are places in China that, do some customizing, but, we're always looking to branch out to other places, because just like you said, a lot of things do look the same.
Right. You see, that's the other side of the coin with India for this is that although Indian manufacturers would love to do what you want them to do, their turnaround times would not be as fast as China. Like, China is much faster. And when you go down shopping India, you have to be very, very clear in your mind. And I must tell everybody, I'm sure Alka would agree with me because she's working with India. You cannot think of making a garment in 45 days from design to delivery. It's impossible.
Well, because depending on what garment you're doing, right? If you're doing embroidery, I mean, and depending the relationship with the factory, if 80% of your business is with the factory will do what it takes to make the garment quick, right? But why can't you make a sample in 45 days?
No, I'm saying design to delivery, Alka.
Oh, no.
It's impossible to do it in India. No. It's impossible to do it in India.
Just about get your product 10, 12 days after it's made up, and keeping in mind your fit is right and all your product is right.
Right.
Delivery will take 2 months at least for printing.
Absolutely. And I've been consulting a couple of companies here because I'm here, they expect me to know everything about India, and they come to me and they push me to do it. For example, a basic cheap women's jeans, skinny jeans. You will not be able to do it that well in India because of the fabric constraints, of the turnaround constraints. And the way some of the cheap brands work is they want you to ship it once they've given the order. They want you to ship it in 45, 60 days. That kind of work cannot happen in India.
It cannot.
India is not a place for that business. And if anybody tells you they'll do it, I think they're overestimating their capacities and capabilities.
They're not being upfront with you if they're telling you they can do it. So be careful.
You have to have very, very good lead times if you want to work with India.
So just one quick question. Alka, I think it'll be good for you to connect with Sophia. Alka's based in California.
Yeah.
Sophia's in New York, and she's looking.
I put email, so contact me. I'll connect you with somebody.
And we have a question from Dandy Impex. Dandy Impex, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I mean, when Sophia was talking about India, there are a lot of people working with many designers in India. I mean, why does she think that they don't work in India or they don't get good quality and product out of India? It's not what as she thinks.
Correct.
She didn't say that. She didn't say that.
You just have to be on top of your product.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there are very good factories in India. I mean, definitely. I mean, we are also working with a lot of designers out of Europe. I mean, there are a lot of things that's happening. I mean, so it's not that you don't have factories in India.
Are you a factory based in New Delhi or India?
No, I'm based in Mumbai, and we are doing mainly knitwears, knitted garments.
Yeah. Hey, sorry for interrupting. Akshadeep, I had a question for you. When you go to China, don't you feel the language barrier?
Well, I am not doing a lot of business with China out of, I don't know, laziness or my love or respect or whatever you might call it from India. But, there are a lot of agents, there are a lot of people, me being trilingual, I have a lot of Russian friends who are there based in China, who do business with China, and they know Russian. So, the network is so big. I really don't face any big issues working with China. I mean, if I wanted to increase my business with China, it would not be that difficult. I mean, for me personally.
But China means, so you won't go there. You'll have an agent who will work with China and you'll just tell the agent what he needs to do.
Yeah. So, if I wanted to source a fabric, I would tell 5 people and, they would source the fabric for me because fabric still remains my first love. And, I'm deeply into fabric design and design to delivery. So I would tell them and, they would make the fabric for me. And if I needed to make a garment, there are a lot of small, medium-sized factories also which you can approach in China. I think although China is definitely not that, like Sophia said, you cannot make a lot of customized stuff there. But for a lot of needs for basic stuff, there definitely turnaround times are faster and you can get stuff faster because what they are doing. If you look at the China model, you'll have a weaving unit which is manufacturing 100,000 meters of fabric, woven fabric, and it's lying in the godowns, right? You tell them the colors and they'll just dye it for you in 7 days and they'll just pack it for you in 15-20 days and give it to you. Such a thing is not possible in India. It's possible with companies like Arvind, for example, or with companies which are huge companies, because I work with Arvind also, Arvind Lalbhai Group, or with bigger companies. But then their lead time from order to manufacturing is 45 to 60 days. They do not work on gray and dyeing because India is not very good in piece dyeing products. They're good in yarn dyed products. They're not excellent in piece dyeing products.
Correct. Cool. But Arvind, like company like the Arvind Mills, they also get product from China, right? And
no. Arvind is Arvind is I would say one of the best companies in India to work with if you want cotton based fabrics, and they are a fantastic company. Sorry,
we can already doing with Arvind also.
Yeah, I mean Arvind is a fantastic manufacturing company.
Yeah.
Okay, so they do all their wovens. They are primarily. And does the woven have the spandex in them or no?
Yes. Arvind is doing a lot of woven stuff, and they're also doing knits. But Arvind is more of a cotton-based company, right? So most of their products, you would find them which are like casual wear. You will not probably have that. They're not very strong in, for example, tencel products. They're not very strong in viscose-based products. They're very strong in cotton-based products.
Yeah. Okay.
But Lycra is not that big a deal in India anymore, Alka. Trust me.
Yeah.
It used to be. It used to be.
Being okay, the fabric is not that big of a deal. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, yes. And everything starts from fabric. You see, if you look at what India is exporting, India is not exporting any winter jackets. India is not exporting anything which is very, very winter, no, except for Ludhiana for some sweaters and all, right? Because the local consumption is not there. So fabric generation is not there. So it just all kind of, it's a whole cycle, right?
Yeah.
Whereas China is doing anything and everything because the geography allows them to sell it locally, source it locally, export it. And India is not Taiwan. India is not Japan, right? India is India.
Yeah. I think Mukhtar had a question, right?
Mukhtar, would you like to say something? Okay, we're going to just get to some of our other audience. Akhil, would you like to say something, Akhil?
Well, I just joined this conversation about 15 minutes ago. We do all kinds of quantities from our company. We are working with all kinds of buyers. In fact, in the last 1 or 2 years, we've broken barriers, and we also work with as less as 100, 200 pieces also on smaller brands. Is because these smaller brands can give you a much better value when you work with them. But we make flat knitted garments, so we have a little bit better thing that we can convert our yarns quickly into small quantities. One thing that the pandemic did for us was to realize that there is opportunity in making small and making also what you call as literally in between in between seasons, or you're working with smaller and smaller runs. I think last year small run business for us was almost 15 to 20% of our business, which we normally don't entertain in our knitwear business for things like which is less than 2,000 to 3,000 pieces on a style. And I think the way forward is going to be more and more small and specific out of India, because India can really work on the small numbers. There was this question regarding doing tailored garments, and I think tailored garments is really where we really need to improve, because I think the workmanship out of the Southeast is much neater when it comes to ladies' tops and garments. And it's basically because how the companies are equipped. We are really made for making tops, which are the more, the lightweight or the 100% cotton kind of thing. So we don't do a lot of structured garments. But I think if somebody really puts their mind to it and they find somebody in Delhi, I think there'll be a lot of companies in Delhi who can set themselves up to do fashion fabric, and there is so much surplus fabric available, or just these warehouses or stores available in Delhi where you can buy all kinds of good fabric in small quantities. It's just a matter of developing a supply chain. I know of a company out of Bavaria that is making those trendle dresses in India. And they make as low as 800 to, they make as low as 60 to 80 pieces in a company in Bangalore. And I think they do about $4 to $5 million in making 60 to 80 pieces, even sometimes smaller quantities than that for them. So it's just how you set up your supplier. But the smaller you go, the more intimate you have to become with your vendor. And so we work with all types of customers. It's just that everybody has a different cycle and a different way of doing it. So this old Indian attitude that we had, that we would shun people away who worked with smaller quantities or didn't give the time, I think that's now, we've got to really brace ourselves to the new world, which is going to be smaller quantities and faster turnarounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So Akhil, are you an Indian-based factory?
Yep, I'm an Indian-based factory, thoroughbred. Earlier, we used to have a large garment manufacturing unit and stepped out of garment manufacturing in the form of denim jeans. We were Levi's vendors. We got out of that business in 2007-8 when Bangladesh started becoming big. Now I have a factory doing flat knits, and we do about 1 million pieces a year in sweaters between the gauges of 3 to 16. And we
So,
have these automatic Shima Siki machines, which from Japan, that we make these flat knits on over here.
so do you do a mix of woven and cotton, or woven and, in the sense, let's say you have a back that's a knit, is the front woven? Can you mix like that? Or do you also mix like that?
Well, what we do, yes. What there used to be a big program that we used to do for Columbia Sportswear, where we used to do the fleece sleeves with woven fronts, knitted fronts. And sometimes we've also done, leather with the knitted back and sleeve kind of garments in the past. So yes, we've done these hybrid styles. And these again were for brands into Europe, which were the high-end brands, and these were expensive garments because this leather on these garments were expensive. So, but they were small quantities.
So where is your factory?
We are located in Bangalore, in India, and we've been here for the last 20 years.
Got it. Got it. Can you put your email up? I'm going to connect with you.
Sure. I'll just add it here.
Akhil, I would also want to be in touch with you. I really like the way you've been putting forward your ideas, and I think a lot of other manufacturers need to learn from this. In fact, India before COVID and India after COVID is a different story.
Yes.
And if the Indian manufacturers, including me, my own family, they do not understand that they need to cater to smaller volumes, they need to go wide, not deep, then it's going to be a big problem for India, and this is the right time to kind of, take some business from China.
Oh yes, I agree with you totally. And it's not China's fault. It's India's that's not moving.
Absolutely. I'm a little reticent in talking about the part of India because there are a lot of people from all over the world. It'll be a little embarrassing for me to talk about that, but then you're absolutely right. If the fault lies with India, what we've lost is because how we have behaved, in the past.
Yeah, no. I just find the attitude in China is much better than what we have in India. When I buy yarns from China, everything is available in 7 days. But that's how we are training ourselves to do things. So, when it comes to sampling or these pop things, supposing you work on a quantity of say 50,000 pieces for a large company, you're going to be left over with decent color yarns and decent color this thing, which you need to catalog, hold properly, and then when a smaller company wants just 200 pieces or 400 pieces, you have the yarn lying ready.
Absolutely.
So it's just the ecosystem. So we've just started building this ecosystem within the company, and the smaller company is willing to pay full price for it. So one feeds into the other, but you have to be intelligent with your designing and merchandising for that, which I think the Chinese have got a grip on. We don't.
And I would say that we've also lost a lot to Turkey because I've dealt a lot with Turkey and we buy some Turkish stuff too. When it comes to low volumes and high quality products, they are fantastic as well. We have to give them that.
Yeah, I in my garment factory, quick turnarounds. We did a big business with Esprit EDC. We built and in Esprit we used to do 10 seasons. So while we were manufacturing for one season, we were sampling for 3 or 4 seasons from then. But doing all this quick and fast, you have to be very close to your buyer. Your buyer has to be very close. You have to have extreme amount of confidence, because if you develop a fabric, you develop 500 meters. And so that 500 meters minimum has to be absorbed sometimes, otherwise you land up taking a lot of loss. So your hit rate has to be very high. And once you set it up, you set it up. We used to do, I think, around 25, 30 crores worth of business with Esprit, which was 10 seasons when we had the garment factory going.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. We have a question from Sophia Davis. Hi, Sophia, again.
Hi, I just had a question. One of the gentlemen was talking about his factory in India. Now, my question is this. I have, I represent a group of designers here in America that are looking to get things manufactured. I had one designer that got a whole collection manufactured. He got a sample first, and the sample was fine. But when he got the collection itself, after he had paid for it, it wasn't what he ordered. Like, it wasn't up to par. So my question is, how do we build that type of trust? When you send a sample and the sample is very good, but when he got the balance of the collection and he was disappointed, and now we're in New York City, people in India, it's hard to track down people. Like, how are you going to, not so much of get your money back, but get the quality that you're looking for? Now, I'm not saying all of the factories are this way, but I'm talking from one designer's experience, because what I have done is I have talked to my group of people to get them to want to purchase from, this group that is on here. I've been talking to them saying, look, I know some manufacturers in India, and these people can do this, this, and this. And, they're from all over the world, but they're, connected by, this kind of Zoom, and, kind of trustworthy people. These are businesses, real people. But, how can I get their trust if and this is what the guy said, in the meeting, when in front of everybody. So it's like, how can I show them that they're going to get quality?
Can I reply this? Sophia, only testing. The only way is that you have to have these heartbreaks till you find the right person. And because I can say the same experiences I've had with dealing with people in the United States, or with suppliers in China. So it just happens where you feel comfortable and you can trust. And I've had trust relationships where I signed inspection certificates for companies for many, many years for the goods that I was manufacturing in my own factory. So that's just a matter of who you are and who you're dealing with. Nobody comes with a warranty or a guarantee written on his face.
We have a question from Paras Fashion.
I would like to also answer what Sophia asked, because, I've been dealing with the same thing before we if that's okay with you.
Of course, please.
Yeah. So, Sophia, what I have done, since I've dealt with fabrics and garments and clothing, everything, initially it used to be good faith, like Akhil said, and, when my losses started growing up one after the other, I started doing physical inspections before the shipments. It was very expensive, but it was worth it. And then you can also employ, these agencies in India, which are international agencies like ITC, and there are a couple of other SGS. And you make it a point that you do very strong contracts with them and let them see. It is going to cost you some more money, but either you will need to put more time, or you need to put more money before you can finally trust those people. Because, I have some factories now, which, if I go to and if I go for inspection, I'm just going there to have lunches and dinners with them, because there's nothing to inspect. They're absolutely spick and span out of Bangalore. Okay. And on the other hand, there are factories which I've been working with like for the last 10 years, and still they, sorry for my French, but screw it up once in a while. So, it's the ethos and the how the factory works, how they think about it. And, but you need to be on your toes, and you need to either have inspection agencies or go there for 2-3 days for a physical inspection. And once you have had a string of everything right, then you can leave them with that. That's the only way out. That's what I did. And, it's kind of worked for me, not every time, but most of the time.
Okay, we have a question from Paras Fashion. Would you like to say something, Paras?
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm audible.
Yes, audible, yes.
Yeah, I want to say that I received the mail just yet now. Basically, I want to inquire that what is this Zoom meeting about?
Why don't we'll answer your question later. Don't worry, we'll answer.
Sure.
But does anyone have anything more relevant towards today's topic that we can talk about? You know, does anyone have any questions about for Mr. Akashdeep? Because we're reaching the end of our discussion. Any closing statements? Any words of wisdom? Does anyone would like to say something? Sophia?
Well, the thing I'd like to say is I'd like to create working relationships with the people that are on this panel, and that's the whole point of the panel is networking. So, you know, I would certainly like to do that. I would, you know, want to work to find a way to develop trust in the designers I have here for them to order, you know, from people on this panel. So that's what, you know, I'd like to see at the end of the day, if we can create a network and business, you know, relationship where, you know, if something does go wrong, is there someone we can talk to or, you know, email that can say, all right, I'll go check this or something? Because of course, you know, we can't fly to India every 5 minutes. And again, you know that, you know, with the pandemic and everything, you know, but people still want to order garments and still want, you know, to create collections. So the thing I'm saying is that if there's someone on the panel or, you know, that's attending that says, okay, I have a factory and you know what, if you place an order, I will look at it and make sure, you know, I don't know if that's possible, but, you know, I just want to create some trust over here.
Okay, definitely. Just want to ask, see, like I said, Sophia, your question, I think what Akhil said was most apt, that it's you'll have to, like, only by testing you'll actually know, you know, and then you find your good apples and your bad apples, you know. I think that's the only way out of, I mean, I'm talking about even me, like I was born in a factory, literally. My parents were garment exporters, and that's, I mean, I've been in the business. I mean, even I've been in the business before I was born. My mom was getting out shipments to Gloria Vanderbilt and everything when I was in her stomach, you know. So I've seen this. I mean, I've seen the business from childhood, and I've seen it in different places, different countries. And same thing I can tell you is it's only by testing, you know. So I just want to speak to a few more before we end. I see Doreen. Doreen's an agent in New York. Doreen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
So what did you think of today's session?
I think it was very informative. I mean, it's very good to know all these things, you know, about manufacturing and, you know, all that sourcing out there.
So Doreen is a sales agent. She's looking for companies to represent. She can get people orders. So, and Doreen, leave your contact details. If anybody would like to contact Doreen, please go ahead. You know, Onika, how are you doing, Onika?
Hello.
Hi. So Onika, tell us, what did you think about today's session?
It was very good, and we did a lot of networking today.
Okay, so Onika, why don't you tell everyone where you're based in? Where? Louisiana, right?
Yes, I'm in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Okay, and what did you feel about today's session?
Today's session was very good, and we did a lot of interactions with different companies about textile and manufacturing.
Okay, great. So just to give you some closing statements, we're Fashionably. We organize trade shows. We've been doing this for many years in London. Hopefully in the next, hopefully in September, we'll be doing our shows again. But till then, we're doing everything virtually. We run these webinars. We're doing them every Thursday. They've been working really well. And we have people from all over the world attending, you know. This one was particularly very India focused. And I'm so glad that Mr. Akash Deep joined us from Moscow and gave us all his inputs. Same with Alka Tolani and even Akhil. I'm really impressed with all your words of wisdom. Thank you all. So like I said, we at Fashionablyin, we run a membership, same way like virtually we connect you with people, same way how we got so many people here, we connect you, we get you buyers, we get you agents, we get you the same way of how you go to a trade show, but virtually at a fraction of the cost, So we have membership plans, and if anyone's interested, please hit me up. Just before we close, because it's getting things, does anybody would like to, anyone add with some words of wisdom? Akashdeep, you're going to be the last words of wisdom, but anyone else would like to say something that they would like to, talk about India quickly or something, please go ahead. Naveen? You'll have to unmute. Naveen, you have to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. I'm basically, the name of my company is Virendra Textiles. It's a 50 years old company.
Okay.
We are based in New Delhi, Gurgaon, and all these places. It's my family business. And we do both woven and knits. And there are a lot of good factories in North India also. Like Akashji was saying, maybe you guys must be familiar about the name also. It was started by my father. I've been into this for the last 30 years. So if something has something in Northern India, anything specific, we can do it out there. Any technical thing, any specific thing, and any sort of things, Northern of India, there's a lot of good factories, Noida, Gurgaon, Delhi, a lot of good factories.
True.
Wovens, nets, and depends upon your expertise, what type of things you do. That's all.
Okay, great. So leave your contact details. Anybody else would like to say something else before we end, before we have closing statements with Mr. Akashdeep? Anyone else? Yes?
Yeah, Paras Fashion this side from India.
Yes, please tell us.
Yeah, I want to introduce myself to Fashionable.in.
Sure. Tell us.
Yeah, we are leading manufacturers from Gandhinagar, Shanti Mohalla, Delhi, from India. Yeah, basically, after lockdown, we have faced so many issues from all over the country. Suppose Brazil. We have just manufactured proper, the stock is ready for Brazil, but due to lockdown, somehow mishappening, the stock is all over ready. So what should we give upon that? What should you advise for this? How to work in these tough times or these pandemic times?
First, I would say find some clearance people to get rid of your stock. I mean, is that Akashdeep? What would you say? People buy clearance?
Well,
I don't know.
yes. I think right now what you have to do is probably you need to get more liquidity. I mean, you need to get more liquidity into your business. That's the first thing to do. Don't hold your products. Just sell them and just move on, because this is a very different, unprecedented time in our lives. And a lot of people will buy your stuff right now because they think it's going for cheap. So you might be able to even sell stuff that you've not been able to sell for a long time, right? So don't think about it much. Sell your stuff, take the money and move on with it, right? Because if you try to hold it back, it's going to be, unfortunately, clothing gets cheaper with every passing year, except for Louis Vuitton bags or something like that. Most of this stuff gets cheaper every year on, right? So you don't hold your goods, just sell them and move on. That's what I would like to do.
Thank you for your advice. I'll definitely work upon it.
Okay, great. So
Tarun,
just before,
I'm sorry, Tarun, there's Mr. Mukhtar who's having a raised hand for like quite some time. But
sorry, Mukhtar,
I am Mukhtar Hussain from Pakistan. We are manufacturer and exporter of knitwear items, t-shirt, polo shirt, and also a home textile item.
Okay, so Mukhtar, you're based where, in Pakistan?
Yes, I am from Pakistan.
Okay, great. And what products are you doing?
We manufacture and exporter of knitwear items.
Okay, great. So leave your contact details, Mr. Mukhtar. Leave your contact details in our chat box, and anybody would like to contact. I don't know, Akashdeep, do you buy stuff from Pakistan as well, or is it only India and
we bought one shipment of heavy fabric from Pakistan a long time back, but we haven't had really much business in Pakistan. So you can put your contact and we'll probably work something out.
Okay.
Okay, so Akash, Mr. Akashdeep, final words of wisdom before we close. Thank you all for being here. It was great to see so many people from all parts of the world. You know, like I mentioned, we at Fashionablyin. So, Chetan, would you like to say something? Chetan? Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, so thank you all. It was a real pleasure. One second. You want to say something, Mobo? Would you like to say something? Any last words? Wisdom? Okay. So
no, not at all. Thank you.
Okay, great. So Akashdeep, final words of wisdom before we close. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Tarun. Fashionably has been fantastic, and you know, I think I had not expected to see so many people here today. What I can tell you guys is that working with India is not going to be very soft and smooth, but I think every experience is worth it. And in the long run, you will probably you will have some bad experiences, but most good experiences. So give it a try. Go slow, go smooth, go careful. But India is definitely a place you cannot ignore. You know, you guys, I'm sure everybody is Googling it, and you guys know that India has one of the largest youth population in the world right now. And Indian government, Indian politicians are trying very, very hard to be a good supply line and an alternative for China. You might not be able to do everything that you do correctly, but definitely India is not a supply line to ignore if you want to get big. I mean, that's for sure. And once again, thank you guys. Lovely for having you. I mean, lovely to see you all, and thank you for having the patience to listen me out. And if you guys need any help out of India, I mean, my contacts are there, my details are there. Please feel free to call me. All right, or message me.
Akhil, would you like to say something before we end?
Hello.
No, I'm a big promoter of India, and I think you can do a lot in India. India is all about building relationships. And if you get the right supplier, I know my German customers swear by their Indian suppliers. So I think India needs that inculcation of your supplier, and Indian vendors they lean on their buyers. So if you have that relationship that the Germans do create with a lot of their vendors here in India, similarly in America and other countries, I think India can become a very good supply source.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. And all the best. Stay safe. And hope to see you again next Thursday for our next webinar. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.